than in folly. Now don't read too much into that, because he's not saying that wisdom in this context is the end-all and be-all of life's fulfillment. In the New Testament, we call that Gnosticism. What Solomon is saying, that while ultimately in this life, if all we do is what's under the sun, my life's still empty, no matter how much wisdom I get. But even in this life under the sun, wisdom is better than folly. And that's the conclusion he makes. But he gives us some description about this wisdom. And I wanted to share those with you. I think it's 4 points I made on this passage. But one is wisdom's excellence. Because he tells us that wisdom is better than folly. But here's the only problem. Wisdom is something that you have to work at. It's not something that you wake up overnight and develop. You work at wisdom. And Solomon, I think his journey for wisdom, some of it comes or is told to us in the Proverbs. And Proverbs is full of this concept of wisdom, even to the point that there's a passage in there in chapter 3, I believe it is, that Solomon personifies wisdom as a person and begins to describe the characteristics of wisdom. So I thought we'd take just a little journey through Proverbs and see how Solomon viewed wisdom and the excellence of wisdom. Now, ultimately in Proverbs, Solomon's come to the place in his mind where he understands that without God, there is no meaning in life, and that true wisdom ultimately comes from God. And that's the backdrop of Proverbs. He says, here's true wisdom, and here's the excellence of this true wisdom. So I thought we'd look at these verses. And his journey begins. He tells us right at the beginning in Proverbs 1:2. It says, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing, in righteousness, justice, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discernment to the youth. So he set out on this journey to understand wisdom and then to teach that wisdom to those that are around him. Kind of dovetails with the book of Ecclesiastes, doesn't it? Why? Because we've already learned that the Kohelet in Ecclesiastes, the word that the book gets its title from, means gatherer, a person who assembles folks. And the implication is to preach to them or to teach them. So Solomon, his goal is to gain this wisdom and to teach folks this wisdom as we read in Proverbs. He says in Proverbs 3:13-14, blessed is the one who finds wisdom. So wisdom is something you got to seek after. It's something you got to work toward. The work at getting. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from here is better than gain from silver, and her profit is better than gold. So Solomon says wisdom is more precious than any precious metal or any of the stuff that you can acquire in this world. Wisdom is far more precious than stuff. Proverbs 4:7-8, Solomon said the beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom. Again, implying that you have to go after it. Get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. Prize her highly, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. So again, there's excellence in wisdom. It's something that is worthy of pursuit in life. And you and I, as human beings, should set our minds toward the concept of grasping wisdom so that we can have a life that is skilled, a life that has purpose and meaning and worth. He goes on in Proverbs 10:23, doing wrong is like a joke to the fool. You ever experienced that in your life? People who laugh off evil, laugh off wrongdoing. Doing wrong is like a joke to a fool, but wisdom is pleasure to a man of understanding. It's the delight of his heart and his soul. Proverbs 28:26, whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool. Why? Because our own mind deceives us. In Proverbs chapter 3, Solomon starts out in verse 5 and he tells us in there, don't lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways, do what? Acknowledge the Lord, right? And God will direct your path, is what he's saying. Well, we can't lean on our own mind. We can deceive ourselves. We can fool ourselves. So we have to seek after this wisdom. In just a little while, we'll discover where we find true wisdom.